Innovative di Hatiku represents a slogan that focuses on prioritizing community and future students, especially from the B40 groups. The spirit that arises from this slogan is to continue the effort to always give and help the community and prospective students in need. This slogan should remain a principle in every innovative citizen, so that this slogan is spoken in every community throughout the state in Malaysia, and make innovative as the main option to pursue higher education.
Inovatif di hatiku. Inovatif di hatiku.
Inovatif di hatiku.
Inovatif di hatiku.
Innovative di hatiku.
A very warm welcome to Innovative Family and the esteemed speaker, Mr. Sri Ganesh, who is Singapore Malaysia Customer Care Manager of Kinanegal. Hi, Mr. Ganesh, how are you?
Hey, hi, Pavithra. Good day, good afternoon. I'm good. Thank you very much for the introduction. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure whatever that we do today, we speak here today, can benefit all the students of Innovative. Thank you so much again. So shall we start with our conversation, Mr. Ganesh?
The floor is yours.
All right, thank you. All right, so let's start, everybody. Okay, Mr. Ganesh, my question for you, the first question would be, what is the role of an air freight forwarder?
Okay. Firstly, if you don't mind that I'm taking the opportunity, so I'm going to just acknowledge the crowd virtually. Yeah. Once again, so hi everyone. Right. So pertinent to what is an air freight forwarder. So if I make it life easier, right? And you're in a time where if you go to Google and you're going to Google things up, you're probably going to get the answer to that, right? So if you Google up, probably the first thing that comes out would be an agent that represents, of course, importers, exporters, who moves freights, organize shipments in a safe and effective and cost-efficient manner from the pickup point all the way to the delivery point. Yeah, so that's generally what typically a freight forwarding agent or air freight forwarder is. Yeah, any forwarder for that matter, right? You could be an air freight forwarder, you can be a truck transport forwarder, freight forwarder. You could also be a sea freight forwarder. They are all freight forwarders generally, right? But the niche of it is generally moving a freight in the most safe, conducive manner from point A to point B. That's probably what it would entail. And I would have to say that that's probably a layman way of how we look at things. Yeah. In today's world, a freight forwarder, plays a far greater role than they used to in the past. Yeah. There are a lot of complexity that entails, which surrounds with trading, right? International trade especially. Let alone the fact that we are embracing war at this point in time. We just probably are coming out of a pandemic, going into an endemic, and the complexities that surrounds that. So there are a lot of different complexities that makes an air freight forwarder's role even more exciting, if I could put it that way, right? So the expectation that surrounds an air freight forwarder today is probably one who knows how to, who probably has a network, of trade partners, be it whether it's truckers, transporters, domestic transport, of course, custom brokers, people who has the knowers with custom formalities in different countries, different terrains, of course. You also probably forwarders are also expected to have networks across globally. You want to be able to move your shipment from one country to the other. You will want to have a presence, a foothold somewhere. So it's quite diversified in terms of what is expected out of an air freight or a freight forwarder. And so what I just explained to you is just in terms of setup. They are also expected to, for instance, and I would like to touch base on customs, for instance, customs requirements. Different customs have different trade requirements. Different products have different requirements, be it consumable, automotive, perishable, pharmaceutical, depending on the respective country. So an air freight forwarder is also expected to know what are the trade requirements of the respective countries. They are also expected to move the shipment in the most, secured and safe manner, right? That means potentially the liabilities being covered, insured. The freights are being insured. Because customers today do not probably want to even get themselves engaging with insurance coverage, insurance company. That's additional cost, additional workload, and of course, a lot of organizations today are even outsourcing their shipping department. So, which means we, as freight forwarders, have a role to play in that essence, providing value-added service in that sense. An air freight forwarder is also probably someone who is expected to provide. Times are tough, right? We are embracing inflation. Costs have gone up as well, right? So when customers knock on our door, especially air freight, it's probably the most expensive mode of transport, if you would like to put it that way, right? So, but of course, there is always a demand being in the air freight industry, because time is sensitive, and customer needs freights on shelves quickly, because then they could cater to market demands. So in that essence, when they knock our door, the expectation is we would provide them with a cost-effective solution. So, looking at striking a balance between their expected need date on the shelf, for example, against what the cost entails. So giving them the most cost-efficient solution. So if I may, summarize this, we're probably a bit of the superheroes, right? With trading, with international trade, having to be able to play a role or different roles throughout the entire transportation or supply chain of the transport supply chain. So, in that sense, I hope I answered the question, but in that sense, it engulfs everything that's got to do with the moment the shipment is ready for pickup until it's delivered, so it's quite vast, but I hope I addressed the question.
Definitely, you did touch base with every single angles of the definition of an air freight forwarder. Not only an air freight forwarder, you also defined what's an freight forwarder and what do they do, right? So my second question to you, Mr. Ganesh, would be, what are the opportunities present in the market for a career as an air freight forwarder? Yeah.
Well, honestly speaking, time has changed, and I can tell you that when I was about to get into the logistics, I got into logistics before into freight forwarding, more supply chain, in fact. But when I was, joining in the industry at that point in time, there was this saying, back in the 80s and 90s, it used to be, freight forwarding used to be a career pathway for those who usually do not come with a lot of or very strong academical background. Yeah, that's how it used to be perceived back then. Of course, when I was joining in the industry, it was somewhat changed, or it evolved mindset towards the career as a freight forwarder, right? Be it whether it's an air freight forwarder or what have you not. But yeah, so it has changed. But of course, the challenges that was posed at that point in time were, long working hours. It's a lot of stress because, especially in the air freight forwarding world, because people are paying premium because they're expecting you to deliver the requirements. Yeah, it needs to move for as quickly as possible. So it's going to be very stressful. Imagine being the customer ourselves, and making a purchase online, and how we will be very fugitives towards waiting for the product that we have purchased. Likewise, so the guy who's delivering the service is literally on the spot. So used to be told that it's very challenging career pathway. These days, however, I think it's a bit of it has also evolved significantly, because the freight forwarder, as I mentioned earlier, is expected to play a significant role in just an array of, with an array of services, value-added services, be it from packaging, be it, providing liability coverage, be it providing transparency in terms of where their freights are, especially with automation this generation, right? So there has been a significant importance placed, I would say, at this point in time, especially upon the career of a freight forwarder. So if you ask me what is the opportunities that lies ahead, for a freight forwarder, as an air freight forwarder, I think it's the sky is not even the limit, right? At least at this point in time, coming back from the pandemic, where a lot of businesses have significantly suffered because they were not able to to cater to the demands of people, or they as they would have liked, right? And so the freight forwarder is now going to be expected to move a multiple fold of shipments of volumes at the very same time, with the very limited resources, or the same resources that we have on hand. So I would say that the career pathway, as the opportunity that entails with being an air freight forwarder, is vast. There are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of different roles. So you could be someone who comes from, how would I put this? You could be someone who likes, mixing around, mingling around, and you're open-minded. You probably would play a role as a sales, or someone who is in forefronting customer. That means customer services. If you're someone who is very focused on work, you like to get things done, you're a bit of an introvert personality, then probably into the operations, the back end, managing the vendors. Or there are also procurement roles that entails within the air freight setup, which also comes with its own set of competencies and demand, right? So there are a lot of roles. I have not even touched base on business development, vertical development. That there's just a lot of opportunities. So I think it's very exciting period of time to be a freight forwarder, because I would say that we have not really been touched yet by AI. So probably we still have a lot of roles to play at this point in time.
So wow, this is like new information for me. So I would like to quickly focus on the pandemic. So you are saying that the pandemic has actually impacted in a positive manner towards the career. Is that right?
I would say, to some extent. If you could see that, Maersk, for example, has grown significantly. They used to be known, they were in the shipping world, so more of a liner services. They own their own fleet of vessels. I was part of the Maersk organization. That's exactly where I started my career. It was a company known as, if you arranged all their containers, that they owned, you'll probably reach moon. That was the introduction video, my first day at work. So but today they have gone out and they have done M&As, expanded their service lines as well, and they have become a real player today as an air freight forwarder. Times have changed, of course, because of the amount of their revenue stream have grown, have strengthened over the last 2 years, and that has helped them. So definitely.
Wow, that's interesting. Maersk and their introduction video about the moon. So and you did answer my question about now it's a golden time for freight forwarders, especially after the pandemic. So that actually connects to the next question that I'm going to ask you. So do you think there are any risks or threats involved in the market as a career for an air freight forwarder?
Well, okay, at least from where I stand right now, from in my career, and time have evolved. So when I joined the industry, we were literally operating or managing shipments through checklists. So you used to print out documents as checklists. You used to sort them in files, hardcover files, some see-through files. Eventually that got evolved. That's how I started the career. Of course, it was not very long. It was a year and a half, and then Excel was excelling. So we were tabulating all the data into Excel while we were working on back-end system as well. So it was very progressive. But over the course of the last 10, 12 years, there are far significant importance placed upon back-end system and integrating systems with the customers, with trade partners, to ensure that not only data feed in terms of shipment milestone, or even placing a booking, let alone placing a booking, customer asking for quotations online. Once the quotation is accepted, making a booking using the quotations all the way through, and the shipment being picked up until it's delivered, the milestones are being tracked in the back-end system, providing them visibility. If the customer would prefer having these data tabulated in the system, then EDI comes in play, of course. But if they are, they are okay with, logging in anywhere through their mobile devices, their tablets, any point in time, then web applications are available, app applications are available. So what I'm trying to emphasize is the role of technology, AI, and this is playing a significant part. Today, of course, the evolution is more of trying to integrate operations through the backend system, trying to use the backend system to pretty much manage shipment lifecycle, logistics lifecycle, of course. But tomorrow, this would take on the role of the mundane task that exists within the operations, of course. It is a risk, it is a threat, definitely. But having said that, I'm a bit optimistic, right? I like to look at things a bit differently in that sense. So for me, it is more of then it means the human capital, people like us, would be used in areas where we could add more value to the customer or to the business, right? Be it providing solutions, mitigating exception management when there is an exceptional situation that occurs, deep diving quickly, trying to resolve the problem. These are the different areas, of course, and then looking for other avenues of growth, building new service lines. We're back.
Sorry. Yeah, we are back. Sorry.
Such coincidence that we were and that had to happen. But okay,
Yes.
not believe, but yeah, I mean, so I was saying when I got cut off was it is a threat, it is a risk, but again, it is also an opportunity, of course, right? So it's not all doom and gloom, if I would to put it that way. But of course, things are evolving just too fast nowadays. And it's anyone's guess what it would be, what kind of threat would surface tomorrow, and so that's something that we would have to see through time.
So the time will answer these questions, yeah. But yeah, as you told, it was a coincidence. Perhaps the machines were listening to whatever that we were talking about.
Decided it
Indeed.
was going to sabotage the call. Yeah, but
Exactly. So yeah, so that was interesting. But I'm sure that just like any other industry in this world, there's always gonna be a need for human touch. Yeah, no matter how improved our technologies are, our AI system is, there's always going to be a need for human touch. Don't you agree with that?
Well, most certainly, right? We would not have evolved even ourselves, for that matter, if we never had the influence of technology in our lives. Everything has a touch of technology these days, and I think you just got to jump on the bandwagon, right? You can't go against it. I mean, or you'll be left behind, right? It's evolution. Of course, there needs to be a bit of a balance, but definitely there's no disregarding the fact that technology has played a significant role in our lives and is going to continue to do so.
Which means if you can't beat them, just join them, right? So yeah, so that's interesting. And yeah, so now we have so many students who are following us on this live, and these students, they are from different backgrounds, different faculties in innovative. So I just want to ask you, can you please explain about the education pathway a student need to follow in order to become an airfare forwarder? But I also know that just now you mentioned that those days the education was not even a part of this whole career. But now at this moment, we are in 2022. Is there an education pathway for these students?
Well, okay, so this is how I'm going to put it, right? So there was never really a specific academic background that you need to have, or I needed to have when I joined the industry. So I'm going to be able to only speak from, of course, uh, myself, right? So, and there was never really a specific, academic background. I'm, I did business admin. Yeah, that's my background. Um, Somewhat related, not entirely. Yeah. Well, but of course, it's an industry that requires people with many diversities, right? A lot of different skill sets, a lot of different expertise. Honestly speaking, the not until just before this call, yeah, a few days back, when I actually came to realize that there are related courses and programs these days offered, yeah, to become a forwarder, and I was taken aback. But then, okay, it kind of, yeah, I reflected over some of the. So we do interviews, and we are hiring when we hire people, and of course I know that they do certain, how to say, subject, yeah, that there are probably a paper or two that they would have to do, which is related to supply chain or logistics and stuff like that, but not entirely a entire program that's dedicated to freight forwarding. So that caught me off guard to begin with. But again, coming back, it's a career path, at least until this point in time, yeah, that requires people with many different skill sets, people that are, able to have analytical thinking abilities, being solution minded. Of course, that means you need to be able to know the avenues that's available for you to tap into, having critical thinking mindset, crisis management, for instance. Yeah. Above all, I think someone who's going to be a bit well balanced in managing stress, because of course it remains to be an industry that is going to demand a lot, but it's a rewarding industry to be in, to be honest. But yeah, it's an industry that's going to demand a lot. So if you're asking from an educational background, um, I would say that, you know it depends. The industry has not, I wouldn't say has not yet, but it's evolving gradually into, when we start hiring individuals, it's for specific niche with specific backgrounds. For instance, if you are for sales profile, so organizations, at least freight forwarding companies that I've worked with, have done profilings of candidates. So they do an IQ EQ test to understand more of your critical thinking ability, your logical thinking abilities, to determine what would be the apt role for you in a freight forwarding world, right? Whether it be customer fronting, that could be sales, that could even be an operation key account, for instances, which is more of a farmer, and unlike a sales, which is more of a hunter. Yeah, if I'm going to keep it layman, or even customer service for that matter. Yeah, the moment you receive, so from the point the business is secured until you deliver the service, the focal touch point for a customer. Or if you're someone who is more of, into business development, back end analytical, right? Someone who is solution minded thinking. So if you look at it in that essence, these elements were used to determine the kind of profiling that suits respective roles within a freight forwarding world. But I would say that, that's I have cannot really comment on a particular course pathway, but I'm actually very interested to know, how this is going to evolve, because there are as I said, there are a lot of different touch points. But yeah, time will tell. I'm going to have to put this again back to time in terms of education. Yeah, what kind of program or education pathway that is required to become a freight forwarder. But it is not. It's not significant, I would say, that you would need to have a particular career pathway to become a freight forwarder. I've hired in the past engineers, people from business background, people from hospitality background. Yeah, so quite diversified, not related really, but it's got to do a lot with the person's competency that has helped them build a career within a freight forwarding company. Yeah.
Wow, so I think the students are in luck today that we are having this conversation, because our students themselves, they are from business faculty, they are from hospitality faculty. So you guys out there, innovative students, please think about the career, the opportunities there are in freight forwarding. If you are not interested in the most normal line of work that comes with your education background, you can always think about joining the freight forwarding industry. Isn't that correct, Mr. Sri Ganesh?
I think it's an industry that today still does not demand a particular, academic background. So I think it's the best time to jump on the bandwagon if you really feel you're up for it, right? But as I said, it's an awesome industry to be in.
Yes, yes. So innovative students, I would like to hear you guys coming to the college and telling me, Miss, we have actually considered this as our career pathway. Yeah. So let's move on to the next question. This is kind of like an interesting question for me personally because I want to learn. Are there any key moments or funny incidents that you can share from your experience, your career, all this while?
Okay, so how do I put this? I'll look at my career as there were two sides to my career, or two phases to my career. The first part of my career, I I used to walk into the office. Back then, good old days. You walk in, you're all about you and your laptop. You start work, you end work. Yeah, throughout the day, it's just you and the laptop, and it was pretty much an introvert phase of me. I would probably put it that way, right? But so I'm going to talk about something which is interesting. So over that course of time, I think, and sorry, over that course of time, the demand that was there for me was more of ensuring your work is done. You're going to come in, you're going to make sure you get your job done, hit the ground running. If that's a problem, you're solving your problem, you're going back, right, making sure everything is done and come back the next day. So it was always about you and your work. But today, as I've evolved over, of course, my career, and it's more of people management, and the expectation is more of developing developing talents, and the expectation would be to try and replicate to some extent, the work quality, or that I would have delivered as an individual back then in the day, right? But of course, there's of course a generational gap, right? From when I used to do these as an individual contributor, going into work on a day in day out, getting the job done myself. Then and in comparison with the kids these days that walk into this job, so of course there's a work-life balance. People speak about work-life balance. Back then it was you're supposed to be 9 to 6, but no job is not done even at 9 o'clock in the night, right? It used to be at some point in time, right? But of course, people these days at 5:30, they're like, okay, so what are you doing next, right? Yeah, how do we, do we have a session where we are going out and catching up with, colleagues, activities, what have you? There's a lot of social life after work in a nutshell. So the ability to manage the expectation to me. So this is a learning process to me as well. Back then, it was more of trying to understand and comprehend work. Now it's more of trying to understand and comprehend the team that you manage, because you need to ensure that people are fully motivated when they walk through that door day in, day out, right? Because a motivated individual, someone who is always excited to get about their role, about their, their influence towards their job, about their career, walks in and get things done in totally a different sphere, right? The deliverables would be of different quality in comparison with someone who's going to walk in feeling jaded because he's always being told to burn the midnight or finish your work first, and then they're gone back, and then you send them text. This is probably how the good old days were, right? When you send them text and say, hey, okay, have you done this? Why this is not done? I've not seen you reply. You don't do that these days, because you're probably getting a resignation letter or a demotivated stuff. So these were some of the learning lessons to me, if you ask me, interesting experience that I have to endure in my career, because and that's my second phase that I was mentioning earlier. So the first phase, of course, me being the doer, and the second phase was me trying to replicate me, but of course, different me now, because times have evolved, right? And you're going to have to accommodate. So I would say then this is probably a grace that social media technologies, being able to keep tabs with what people do these days, right? What gets them ticking, because you need to be able to speak in that lingo. So people management has become a very important key coherent of managing business. And that's probably my I would say very interesting view of how, if you ask me what has been interesting to me, I would say that not too many funny moments. There are a lot of course, exciting moments. Yeah, the team bonding sessions and stuff that comes with any industry, let alone, right? Of course. But yeah, I would say that how the nature of the work has evolved has been a very interesting proposition to me.
Interesting to hear when that you're sharing all those days when you were like, I've heard this from my parents who told me that, oh, you bring the work back home, and then you don't leave it there. There's no work-life balance, all those things. Even my siblings, for that matter, they do share the same stories with me, how they are like 24/7 thinking about work. And so just an extra question on this subject. How do you think your current team, I'm sure your current team is like a team of young kids, like around 20, in their early 20s or so. So how is it managing them? Do you find it difficult? Do you find it like challenging?
Well, so to begin with, I have a team that is quite diversified, people from different walks of life. So that I have got different races, different age segments, yeah, different nationalities for that matter. So it kind of gives a good mix to begin with. Yeah, but so managing these people, managing the team, it has been, I mean, it's go with the flow, if you ask me, and that's exactly how I would like to put it. Right? It's but ensuring that you take personal interest with what happens in their career, what is happening out of their career as well, because to some extent, I think that influences the relationship that you have with your team members. Finally, of course, people, and this is how it's at the end, a human touch is paramount. Yeah, you need to be able to understand your team, and they need to then understand you back likewise, and that's exactly how you reciprocate informations that you and you share, right? Then you have that relationship in place, so it only makes absolute sense in that essence. So a lot of team building, a lot of well, okay, so last time trainings used to be a lot of talking and people sitting down there, hands folded, and okay, I have to listen and stuff like that. But this day it's got to be a bit more interactive. You give them quiz, online. There are a lot of avenues, right? Your online quiz sessions, for example, presentations, people walking up doing their own presentations, trying to create simulations, getting them involved in it, making them give more ideas, be more participative towards whatever that we do. And that drives engagement, that drives commitment. And so it's no longer where you go in and you say, okay, this is what we're going to do, and you get it done that way. It's more of getting everyone working collaboratively, and I think this is to some extent been the recipe so far. I won't see the recipe for success because time is evolving very rapidly, and keeping tabs with how things are evolving is essential to remain relevant, of course. But yeah, this has been my ethos thus far, if you would want. Yeah.
Okay, very, very interesting indeed, Mr. Sri Ganesh. So my last question for you, last question for the day would be, we are here in Innovative's platform. Thank you for that first. But I would like to ask you if you have any advice for our innovative students, anything regarding anything, and regarding their education, regarding their life, anything.
Well, to be very honest, I'm not that old to be giving life advice. To be honest, I'm learning about life as well. I think everyone is at different walk of life, but I think the one key takeaway that I've always had in life was that, okay, maybe two, right? Give it your all. If you, of course, do something that you like to begin with. So if you want to get yourself into something, make sure you like them, and you get yourself into it, then you give it your all, because you can of course like it for various reasons, but it does not have to be turning out the way you expect it to be, which is why I said you're going to have to go in there and indulge yourself, give it your all, and things will fall in place. But above all, the most important thing is always wear a smile, be happy, right? It's not all doom and gloom, right? I'm sure there are always opportunities out there at the end of the day. But yeah, so if there was something that one or two things that I could share, that would be it.
Following up with that question, this is definitely my last. Yeah.
Okay.
Any advice for them on how to get started as in the career of freight forwarding?
I think these days the demand for, and I don't think it's that difficult to get started. The job portals, career fair would begin anytime, I'm sure. Yeah, that now we've all returned back to normality to some extent. These are all the different avenues, of course. Knowing the different forwarding companies out there, the avenues that's available, applying them. Yeah, this would be what I would. This is exactly how I got myself hooked up. And of course how we go on looking for talents these days, right? So the career fair is very important. Going to the career job streets and all these different career portals to try and apply. That will be the other avenue, so you get yourself engaged. But I'll be very glad, I mean, if this is also something that we also do quite extensively, building partnerships with institutions, and giving opportunities for internship. And that's generally how companies like us also assess individuals when we decide if they are ready to take on a full-time career with freight forwarding work.
That's very interesting, Mr. Sri Ganesh. So, students of Innovative, right after your exams, do go check out these job portals. Do go attend career fairs and all, so that you guys get the gist of how to look out for great opportunities, especially in air freight forwarding or freight forwarding industry. So with this, I think we have come to the end of our FB Live. Thank you so much, Mr. Sri Ganesh.
been my pleasure.
This is my pleasure indeed, actually, to have you on board, to have you impart all the knowledge and wisdom that you have gathered so far in your career as a freight forwarder. So thank you again. Innovative thanks you. I hope to join you on a different platform on a different day with a different topic on freight forwarding. Thank you so much, Mr. Sri Ganesh.
God willing, God bless. Give you my best wishes to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Innovative di Hatiku represents a slogan that focuses on prioritizing community and future students, especially from the B40 groups. The spirit that arises from this slogan is to continue the effort to always give and help the community and prospective students in need. This slogan should remain a principle in every innovative citizen, so that this slogan is spoken in every community throughout the state in Malaysia, and make innovative as the main option to pursue higher education.
Inovatif di hatiku.
Inovatif di hatiku.
Inovatif di hatiku.
Innovative di hatiku.
Innovative di Hatiku.